pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So first order of business is the minutes from last week.
It's okay to me.
That's because we didn't let you say anything, you didn't get a word in edgewise.
So my only question on it is the motion by Jack, and second, did you accept the 804, 994, was that?
Where are you?
Second, at the top.
Yeah.
That was the motion, because that was the motion without the two additional firefighters. I mean, that's what we've got here, which is
It's not 84, yeah. It's
That is the wrong number?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 9.
All right, what was the right one? You have it right in front of you?
Should have been the budget as presented,
Right, yeah.
which I will-
961, 309.
Right.
Okay, I'll change that.
Wait a minute. Why don't I have a copy of that?
Everything else look okay?
I have something with the school, but I don't really have a great suggestion on how to fix it. It's just towards the bottom of the, okay, under update from Selectmen/School Board, there's a paragraph that starts with Melissa.
Mhm.
At the end of the paragraph, it mentions a portion of the GBEX funding that had been cut was reinstated, which technically speaking, that's true, but it's within the body of the paragraph and the sentence of everything else that was voted on that night, and it had been cut a couple months ago, I think, and then a portion of it was put back in before it even
Prior
got
to
to the
the
board.
meeting?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I feel, but it's true, it's just I don't love where it's located in that paragraph, you know?
I want to question what the correction he made.
That's the one that didn't pass, we were proposing.
That was the total one with everything in it.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
That's a 961.
961,
Okay.
309.
That's my
So do you
question.
want me to take that out, Melissa, or do you want to move it? Because I think that what we did last week was more a overview of what happened at the hearing, not really what happened throughout the budget process. So if that aspect of it wasn't covered in the hearing and we don't need it, we can strike it.
Okay, we can strike
Just
it,
strike it.
thanks. Probably what's easiest.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept as amended?
Motion to accept it as
Second.
amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained.
Any opposition? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 0, 1. 601.
Yeah.
All right, then do we have an update from the selectmen?
After school budget, we'll probably reopen some budgets that the selectmen modified yesterday. Benefits and newsletter.
We never voted on benefits, so it would be just,
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, we never.
Well-
opened it.
you mean we'll need to reopen them, the select board
Yes.
already did?
Yeah,
Okay.
But we didn't do the benefits or the insurance, did we?
No, because we were waiting for the change with fire.
Yeah, so we don't have to reopen what isn't open yet.
Melissa, is there anything you want to review prior to the
Um,
budget?
Yes, and probably as someone who works on the newsletter, you're not gonna be very happy with the school board. So, the meeting has been changed for this year, the school district meeting. It is going to be, it's the night before the Tuesday elections, it's that Monday night. I'm just gonna
What happened to the weekend?
Thank you. So, it was supposed to be that Friday night, but unfortunately, in setting that date, we did not realize that that was February break, and we didn't think it was fair to have the meeting during February break when many families would be away. And the thought process was that, even if it was Saturday or Sunday, many of the families would still be away. We have board members, that made it very clear that they also would not be able to make it. So we decided to go with, Monday, March 7th at 6 PM.
That's a school district meeting,
It is, yes.
Monday, March
7th.
7th.
And it's at the
At what-
Swayze Gym,
At what time?
6 PM.
Well, we certainly have time to make that change in the newsletter, so,
Oh, good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
well, for the next newsletter,
Yeah,
not the one they just
not
voted
this, the one
tonight.
that just mailed.
I
No,
know,
not that one.
honestly, we all feel we do feel
No
terrible.
worries. Anything else you want to?
Can I just ask, we were all at different meetings last night, what happened at your meeting last night? What was that affecting the budget or anything of that kind?
No, nothing that affects the budget. We just, we haven't come to an agreement with the Brentwood Teachers Association as yet. So I think,
Well, I would say that affects the budget.
technically, but I guess I was looking at it like warrant article, and we have till like February 9th or something to present that, so, sorry, that's where my head's at.
Okay,
But we just haven't been able to reach, an agreement with them, and they had just shared publicly that, that there was an impasse, maybe the impasse was on our part, and there's a lot of misinformation that's out there in the town right now, so there were a great many people that came to speak up, but we just weren't comfortable really sharing what had really gone on in negotiations. We were trying to
Aren't
be
they
very
confidential?
respectful. I thought so, actually, but according to our ground rules, once you get to the last one, if you hit an impasse, I think it's like for game and you can actually speak on things, and since they did declare an impasse the last time that we met, I believe technically speaking they could, and either way, technically speaking, it wasn't a breach because it wasn't truth that was out there, so it wasn't like,
they weren't breaching the truth, they were just.
I'm not saying a word, I'm just
Can-
saying that
are we
we
allowed
have
to?
well, hopefully we'll
Is
reach an
salary
agreement this week.
created, I mean, the question, from the budget perspective, is it a difference in the salaries? So it will definitely affect the bottom line of the warrant article, for example, what we're gonna be raising for taxes.
It'll definitely affect the bottom line. But that being said, we're not looking at the same type of salary adjustments that we've done throughout the town. It would be a much more of a modest increase, first of all, and plus, because we've paid off the bond, our budget is down by, I wanna say 4%.
More.
At more. So I think either way, I think we'd still come in at a reduction even with that warrant article.
Oh, okay, that's my question.
Oh, yeah, very good. And in a perfect world, hopefully this coming week, we can come to an agreement that everyone's happy with, and we'll present the warrant article to you and it'll pass.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right, with that being said, we will welcome up whomever's gonna speak on behalf of the Swayze budget.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Ron Koo, I'm the Swayze principal, and this is, I guess, a 10th anniversary for me. This is my 10th go-round with our Swayze budget, and I appreciate the time and the work. Just to make sure everyone has a copy of the line-by-line budget. Does everyone have that?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Looks like this. Oh, that one, okay. I do have all this for sure.
So, I'm glad to take questions as we kind of walk through it. As was already stated, due to the bond payment not being in place, we're coming in at negative 4.27 for the budget. Some kind of highlights as far as what we're looking at for the proposed budget. For salaries of teaching staff is down. We had several retirees last year, and the talented teachers that we brought in were the best that we could find, but also for many of them, just starting out in their career 3 or 4 years in with master's degrees. So that hiring process went really well. We found some really talented people, so that's why you see that decrease and change, and this is prior to the contract.
And that includes the 3 additional ones you put back in, was that included in all this?
The 3 additional, what does that mean?
That's the
She's
co-op
talking about
budget.
CMS.
That's the co-op budget.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Rewind it.
No, that's okay.
Budget's
We only have one scheduled retiree, and that's a paraprofessional this year. So no certified staff have indicated that they're retiring at the end of the school year. I would say the very largest figure you'll see as far as investment is a project line, which is for paving, which was agreed upon by the Brentwood School Board to bring to you tonight. It's been a long time coming. I think we probably started talking about the need for paving either my first or second year there. So it's something we feel is the right time to do this. Even with this project, again, that negative 4.27 bottom line really stands out. So that's that large increase that you see for facilities and maintenance. You see the bond payment. So that's kind of an overview. I mean, if you have specific questions about any of the lines that you're seeing within the budget, Melissa, do they have a copy of what we've created?
That's what was, actually, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that's what's concerning me.
Because I have copies for everybody.
If you could, they do electronically, but if you wouldn't mind passing that
All right, no
out.
problem, yeah. So the first thing is, I want to thank a variety of people, obviously, our school board, but Molly, who's our finance director, Chris Andruski, and everybody who's worked on our budget. So the first one is an overview. It's kind of the sheet I've been talking through. If you could take one and pass it, that would be great. And this is our 8-page line-by-line budget.
I actually have a question relative
I
to
think we do have it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
the actual results from last year and the year before. Is that all right?
Say that again,
I
I'm
have a
sorry.
question relative to the actual results from last year and the year before, just trying to understand a couple of things, if you could fill us in.
Yeah.
So there are 2 line items that jump out, and I vaguely remember conversations, but I just don't remember what it was for.
Okay.
But one being school board expenses, and we're budgeting again $4,000, but last year we came out 24,000 over.
What page is that on?
If you're looking at the Brentwood School District, then I don't think they will have it. It would be on my schedule comparing the
Oh, okay.
actuals, and that's 2020, 2021, account 2319 on the summary date.
And I'm glad for anybody who's here with us to steer me in the right direction, but I believe the change for school board expenses is the board is part of a membership, which I feel is, those are the dues that are required for the school boards. And I believe all the different school boards from the towns are part of that school board membership. I don't know if it's the
School Board
state.
Association.
There it is, yeah. So that's
So-
what,
So that was 24,000 in addition to 4?
No, where, do you have another paper copy of mine
You're
electronically?
looking at this.
Or did they
She's
stop?
looking at this one
Yeah.
that she created.
But I
23, it's the school board expenses, there was budgeted at 4,000 and expense was 28,000.
So So what I did, I
Okay.
looked at last year, at the different years, and I compiled this just quickly. School board expenses were over here, and here was by 24,000, and also legal. So I was trying to understand what was happening during 2021 on this line.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna defer to either Melissa or Molly.
Are we sure that number's,
Here's your budget right here,
and what is,
28,000 actual, 4,000 budgeted.
We're presenting this year's budget, that's not, is that the last
yeah,
year's?
she's comparing year over year.
Actual to, I'm just curious if the budgeted line was under budgeted again, because it was over 2 years in a row.
No, it
It
should
was-
be,
We think it was the legal fees.
There's a separate line for legal.
there's a separate line for legal.
I'm gonna pull it right
Thank you. No, don't worry about it. We'll get them eventually. It's not, I was just, for the purposes of comparison, more than anything.
It's the phone number, but it's not connecting.
Cool.
Good.
It's not, I'm on it.
Oh,
Is it
PTH guest.
Yes. And this,
Do you have the phone number? What do you look at?
I don't know what this one is.
You ready?
Is it, yeah,
603,
it's okay.
642, 6400. No, somebody else might come in, so I'll get it there. Is Molly gonna speak to the food too?
Actually, we have our new food services director here, which I have to say she's phenomenal. I mean, I've experienced firsthand, she's phenomenal. So we're super happy to have her.
While she's looking, does anyone else have anything that maybe Ron can answer?
A couple of things just to add as far as some additions to the school. Both, one of them that you alluded to is food service, and Maureen and I are here to answer any questions that you might have about how we're running food services and how things are going. I have one sheet to provide to you about the revenue that we brought in due to reimbursement, because right now lunches for the school lunch program are free for families, but we are reimbursed by the federal government for the time being, I believe through the rest of this year. So the reimbursement rate, there's a difference between the reimbursement rate now and what it would be for those who are on free or reduced lunch. So right now we're reimbursing at, we're getting reimbursed at $4.32 a meal.
That's right.
And
What does
that's,
it cost you per meal?
I'm sorry?
If that's what you're getting reimbursed, what is your cost per meal?
So, I don't have the numbers as far as how much it is to provide that. We have some, estimates and, in our budget, and again, it is the first year that we've brought it back in-house for the last 8 years.
Right.
So this is COVID related? Is that the support that the government is giving?
Yes,
Okay.
correct, yeah. And obviously, $4.32 is not what we charge families at a typical rate. I believe we charge, around $3 a meal. So, I will pass out
So
what we,
they're charging, you're getting it, right, so explain this to me. So are you charging the $3 now?
no,
No.
there's no charge.
But you're getting it, but you're already getting the money from the government, so you're,
The government is the only revenue we get as far as meal reimbursement.
which
Where
is
did they-
greater than what they charge.
But that doesn't cover necessarily your expense, what you're saying, the $4 doesn't necessarily cover the meals, is that what you're saying?
Well, there's, food service is not just, obviously the food items themselves, there's also salary benefits
Right.
for our full-time employee, we have a part-time employee, so. It's my understanding that, it is rare for a food service department or a lunch program to, the goal is to break even. I'm saying, so what we're trying to do is, figure out what we can anticipate as far as students that are participating in the program now and what that would look like for next year, so.
Well, that's my question, what is the participation now?
Yep, I'll pass this around too, which is our, kind of an overview of our average daily counts, about how many students are ordering per day, and what that reimbursements look like since August and September, and what we anticipate based on the average since the beginning of the year. Maureen is also, after she got the lunch program going, single-handedly with volunteers from our families, we finally were able to hire an assistant. She's also started a breakfast or a snack in the morning, which is also reimbursable, which is also another revenue we can get. So,
How frequently are there breakfasts, let's say, and do you have an idea what the percentage of lunch?
Percentage of how many students participate?
Yes.
The average is 150 meals a day. We have just under 300 students that are enrolled. So we're in the 50 to 60%.
The routine meals like 5 days a week and it's the same each week, or how does that work?
No, Maureen, about how many different meal varieties have you been able to provide this year?
Close to 40.
Yeah.
Some go better than others, I'll be honest with you on that. May I approach?
Yes, please.
Some days do better than others. I started Sweet Treat Wednesday because that day was a little lacking in numbers. And this is actually a sample of what today's sweet treat was, homemade chocolate chip cookies with whole wheat flour and regular flour, but not out of a box. Melted the butter and the sugar myself. So, but that's what the kids got today. But yeah, we have about 40 different menu items. I'm still growing, looking for more.
That's great.
We need to invite them all.
My kid likes
Carrie?
it. My son likes it, he's in the 5th grade now.
Oh, good. What's his name?
Paige?
Yeah.
Paige?
Yeah. Well, I gotta be honest, the 5th grade comes through fast.
Oh,
They come in fast and furious, they know exactly what they want, and they're gone.
okay. So they
And then for breakfast, we probably have about 15 different menu items, mixed over a 5-week cycle menu.
How are the breakfast programs gone?
It's going, some days are better than others, but we've done over 52 meals every day. Some have been
Wow.
58, 60, 62. It's been a little bit hard to get a full grasp on it because we've had some large absentee days. So, but as more and more kids are coming back in, we're definitely seeing that number go up.
And breakfast just started at the beginning of January.
The Tuesday after we came back in
Do
January.
they come in early for that?
No, it runs from 9:30 to 10:30.
Do you guys not offer breakfast in general for families who qualify? I thought it was breakfast and lunch.
We do, but it would be in that snack time.
Okay.
So what we're offering is a reimbursable breakfast, covers all the USDA guidelines, so we're able to get that reimbursement rate from the government for this school year on it.
Do you get any excess food supplies from
The government?
yes?
Absolutely. We started off at $3,400 for DOD produce for this school year. And we went through that very quickly, I'll be honest with you. But that was a lot of our apples, oranges, strawberries, blueberries, lettuce, tomatoes, things like that for basically October to this past Tuesday. And then we get what's called brown box, which is great because they only charge us $3.75 delivery fee for these commodities. So that could be black beans, ground beef, whole wheat pasta, canned fruit, raisins, applesauce, are some examples of it. USDA, I'll be honest with you, is having a lot of trouble with supply chain. But when they order applesauce, they order an 18-wheeler of it. So they're having trouble getting certain things. Like tuna's been missing for these guys for like over 2 years. You know, just tuna fish. So, but what we have been getting are beans, whole wheat pasta, some ground beef, burgers, shredded mozzarella, shredded cheddar has been coming in pretty regularly, and canned fruit. So that is all worked and incorporated into the menu. Some items actually create the whole menu item, like pasta and meat sauce would be the ground beef. Burgers are become cheeseburgers. So those meals are obviously a lot cheaper to produce than a full meal from scratch with everything being purchased. On average, we're probably spending about $1.50 to $1.60 a plate.
You feel good about the quality of the food the kids are getting now as opposed to maybe what they were getting 2 years ago?
I can answer that.
I never saw it, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, ask a parent, yeah.
I mean, we moved up here a year ago, so I don't even know what was, I have a daughter at the middle school, we never even hit the elementary schools, so I will not, I do not feel comfortable answering that question.
Okay.
Can I tell you the first day I walked in, there was this huge vat, right? It's a commercial kitchen, so this huge vat of what I thought was squash. That's what I assumed it was gonna be, like the vegetable. And I was like, what is this? And she said, well, it's pureed carrots and onions. And I was like, what are you doing with it? And she said, it goes into the spaghetti sauce. When I tell you, it was this big. And it goes into the spaghetti sauce. And the kids say that her spaghetti sauce is hands down the best spaghetti sauce that is served. So
That's
my
also,
kids are super careful. They say, besides yours. But they like love it, and I mean everything. Like I'm in there at least once a week, and the kids eat everything. They eat the vegetables, they take the fruit, the cookies are awesome. But they like, she knows everybody by name. Like it's going just as much as I would have loved for it to be. And you guys all heard me pitching it last year.
Yes,
So
thank you, that's exactly what we were asking.
Yeah.
That's what we were, terrific.
it-
We really appreciate it.
it's going well, I'm really enjoying myself too.
Can we get a recipe of that spaghetti sauce?
Yeah, sounds good, doesn't it?
But that's also your marinara sauce on your pizzas and your dipping sauce with the pizza dippers. So, you know, I'm pretty big on sneaking vegetables in and out of places
That's great.
where I don't get busted on.
That's great.
So we had a fifth grade brunch, right, tradition at Swayze, and I had gone in that day, and we had asked parents to send in cooked bacon, for example, and some of it, a lot of it came in ice cold, some of it came in boxes that had to be microwaved, and we were just in such a bind, and she's about to serve lunch, it's 11:30, it could not have been a worse time for us to bother her, and you just had a smile on your face, like you were just so awesome, she just dropped everything to help us. And it was so funny because it was like, well, we need a microwave. She's like, I don't use a microwave. And as soon as you said that, I was like,
No,
I don't know what to do with a microwave.
Yeah.
It
the,
happens at home, it happens commercially. I think I boil water in the microwave here and there, but very rarely,
Wow.
very rarely.
we're very grateful, Maureen, for all the work, and the responsibility of putting the program together, not only the cooking aspect, but understanding the things that are in the kitchen, how to use them, how to maintain them, how to understand the shelf life for those pieces of equipment, and also researching and finding out a new POS system so that we can not only, eventually be charging for these meals and have an accounting system, but also a way to keep track of which students are purchasing. So got that up and running, has been doing some training with that, training another person. Eventually Maureen might even want a day off or need a day off, so we're gonna have back, I know, but we have a plan, we have
We
a
have
lot
a
of people
plan.
that are stepping up to
Yes.
help, and
Your parent support has been fantastic.
it's been
I can't-
second to none, right?
I cannot express it, how wonderful every parent has been that has come through the door. I mean, they've rolled their sleeves up, they've gotten dirty, they've gotten into the dish room, and they all leave with a smile on their face. And they just, I mean, honestly, I mean, from day one, that's been the type of support your community has given me. And I've so appreciated it. It's been so wonderful because I felt so welcomed into the community as an employee, as a woman, as a mother, you know, within the district as a whole. It's been a very enjoyable experience. I've really enjoyed myself, and I don't plan on going anywhere.
Chocolate chip cookies will do that, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, they really like chocolate chip cookies.
Our parents have been ordering in advance for lunches, but I think Maureen's got a very good grip on predictability of how many students are going to choose which meal. So I believe starting in February, we're not requesting any ordering, and students, you know, parents won't have to go in every week. We have the cards set up for them to just come through the line. So very traditional and kind of up and running, and it was from day one. So
Well, the
thank you.
ordering was also so we could create a roster, so if we ever get audited, which at some point we will, we have a list of names of the students who ordered, and it's honestly a lot easier to check them off than to actually have to create this list every day from scratch with 150 plus, 150 names on it. So now we have paper documentation as well as computer documentation that, you know, when the state auditor shows up, you should be in good shape.
One thing that I wanted to say out loud in case it comes up in a year or two from now at these meetings, you mentioned that the meals were maybe about $1.65 each that you were putting out. That's just the cost of the food, correct?
Correct.
So in just figuring out the budget, it's not including the overhead, it's not including her salary and her staff's salary.
Right,
So that's how we get to the $3-4.
yeah, sure, that's more than reasonable, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
That's
know.
outstanding, really, I can't, remember last year, you weren't here, of course, but we went round and round and round, because we wanted the kids, mine are long out, I'm even past grandchildren, but, they literally, we wanted the kids to have decent meals, because, to be honest with you, they weren't. And this sounds fabulous, we are so thrilled, and I'm sure the kids are really thrilled.
I'd like to think so. I mean, you know, it's hard to see full smiles, but I can definitely see cheeks and eyeballs, but, you know, like, but when certain meals go out better than other meals, and I make note of that, you know. Some meals do better than others, you know. Cheeseburgers and hot dogs do great, you know. Pizza Thursday is not broken, so I'm not gonna go looking to fix that, you know. They love their pancakes and, you know, breakfast on Fridays. So now I'm starting to play with Mondays a little bit more.
Wow,
What is
thank
your
you,
last
it's all I
name?
can say is thank you,
What's your last
terrific.
name, Maureen?
Cooper.
Well, don't put it in the minutes, because I don't want anyone to poach her.
It's my notes, these are my notes, not the minutes. She does the minutes.
So, are there any other questions about food service?
Is it all right if we break her free and she can go?
Oh, absolutely. Just leave the cookie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can have the dish, but just don't leave the cookies.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank
See
you.
tomorrow. So the other new aspect at Swayze this year is preschool. And if we'd like to talk a little bit about what preschool looks like, we can do that now. Okay.
Is there any staffing changes?
Staffing changes
Yeah,
from last year?
right. Incremental staff for preschool?
Question about how many Brentwood students and how many,
Yeah, I have this information right here, so I'll talk through who's teaching the program, students, funding, all that kind of stuff.
I'm afraid to start.
Don't.
Yeah.
Arm wrestle for that.
I can't stop it, you're leaving it in front of me, it's deadly.
So, excuse me if I'm saying things that you already know, but as soon as students turn 3 years old and parents suspect a disability or a need for programming in special education, we need to have a meeting prior to 3 years of age. Now, for years, we've been able to have a very small pre-K program, 2 mornings a week. But over the last 2 years, we've seen more and more students that are coming to Swayze that qualify for special education, which means we need to provide a program. So if we don't have the program here, it means we're dishing out tuition for them to go elsewhere. And one of the benefits of having preschool for the students that are eventually gonna be Swayze students is we get to know them, we've been able to work with them and understand what their needs are, and hopefully move them from this special needs and individual plans to getting out of special education. So I think it's a real benefit. Swayze is partnered with Kensington School District. It is a 60-40 split with both participation and revenue and the expenses. This is today's numbers. We have a total of 16 Brentwood students that are part of the program. Right now it's 7 and 7, but I have 2 students that are just about to qualify and be part of the program, so I thought I'd add it to what is going to be very soon. So those 16 students, you see peers, that's the typical peer. So a pre-K program really flourishes when you have a combination of students with disabilities and typical peers that are part of that. The peers pay a tuition, which is $600 a semester or $1,200 for the school year. So that's a source of revenue that you see at the bottom of that pre-K sheet. Currently we have 5 identified students from Kensington, and they have only the 1 peer that is joining. Now, just because you see Kensington and Brentwood, in some cases, what we have is a morning program, which is our 3-year-olds, and an afternoon program, which is the 4-year-olds that are part of the program. So, because there's so few, we do have some of our peers from Brentwood with the 3-year-olds from Kensington. It's just the way it kind of works out, is the majority of our 3-year-olds are coming from Kensington. We have a lot of 4-year-olds. So we've seen this trend, we've seen this need to have it. What we did was the portable classroom, modular, has, since I've been there, half of it's been our music classroom, half of it's been our art space. I've asked our art teacher last year if she would move into the building. So she moved and relocated inside the building. The benefit of that is we've moved pre-K about 3 or 4 different places since I've been there. And a few of them have been without a bathroom. So when we needed to help them not only go into the bathroom, washing up, we'd have to march them all down the hallway. So the portable has its own bathroom. It's also accessible for parents because the drop-off is a little later than our typical drop-off. Parents can do the drop-off. We meet them in the parking lot, and they go right into the portable classroom, and then again the pickup. It's very seamless. So, and also that pirate playground, that community playground is right there for the preschool as well. So those are the numbers as far as enrollment. It's a hard thing to predict because you don't know what level of need you would have. Right now I have a full-time certified teacher. And that was the other concern last year. We had pre-K students last year, but no teacher. So last year it was working with our families to provide preschool somewhere else and kind of reimbursing some of their preschools throughout the community. So we didn't have that teacher in place last year. So, and there were a few coming down the pike. So we were able to hire a teacher. Now a preschool teacher has to have 2 certifications. They have to be a teacher, but they also have to have special education certification. So we did hire a fantastic teacher, and there's a full-time aide. So she works 5 days a week. Right now there are there are 8 blocks Monday through Thursday. 2 of those blocks is for meetings that she needs to hold with parents. And we have reserved Friday space for some of these incoming students. We'll be able to offer even another, usually it's about 2 sessions or 2 blocks, either an AM or a PM. So that Friday we're going to start filling with some of our already identified students and also more typical peers. So that's the pre-K program. The total for the teacher and the aide combined for salary, benefits, and retirement is 114.5. You see the split. Now, the Kensington side will come in the form of reimbursement. So the teacher and aide will come through the Brentwood School District, and we're gonna, she's in our budget this year. For this past year, the funding was $27,800 was available for our portion due to us pre-purchasing items for this school year with last year's unreserved fund balance. So knowing in advance that that was a need, we went to the board in May or June and we had that conversation about that need. The balance is coming from a federal IDEA grant. So for the 22-23 school year, that position is in this budget. And the aid is also in this budget. And again, Kensington has committed to their 40% portion of the program.
Does the 60-40 split apply no matter how many students?
Yeah,
each
because we
town
have the
brings?
availability for them to be part of it. And again, it's the first year with them, so that's what they've committed to for this past year and for next year.
What would it typically cost to provide a parent with reimbursement?
I wouldn't be able to answer that off the top of my head. I think it varies depending on how often they were going. And again, because last year what we would have offered is the 2 mornings a week, we were offering reimbursement for 1 day a week of preschool with support. Yeah, it was, last year was quite the year, let me tell you. And that was just one aspect of it. Our parents were really patient. And we made sure to push out information about where they could go, how we could support them. Of course, we had the other services that preschoolers get. A lot of them are identified for speech, so they could still come in and get their speech services. We just didn't have the program in place for them to use that speech. So, you know, a good thing about the pre-K program is you're not just having an isolated session with a SLP, but you're also kind of working with the other students. So that's part of the pre-K program. We do have an SAU-wide preschool coordinator, Karen Ringette, who helps coordinate all the pre-K programs within the SAU, has worked close in hand. Our pre-K teacher has a mentor, as do all of our new hires. It's part of the contract, but it's also good practice, so everybody's paired up with someone with some experience that they can lean on for advice. I'd love to hear any questions you might have about pre-K.
Operation of plant is up 160,000. Is that COVID related or?
I believe that's due to our plans for the paving.
For the pavement?
Yes,
The
sir.
pavement is in there,
Yep.
okay.
Rusty Lister is also here, can talk about any facility questions you might have. And Rusty, off the top of your head, the project itself, the total for the project for the paving?
Was 156.2.
156.
That includes the striping afterwards.
Right.
And that would be all the parking, everything but the sidewalks. The sidewalks would be maybe next year possibly, but it'd be all the roadways, they call it the utility access, which is where the dumpster is, both parking lots, everything and anything out there is for the 156.2.
Jack, if you go to page 5 of 8 of the one the school handed out,
Yep.
it shows that there's a maintenance projects is up 166,000 for that.
Yeah. The same in the detail.
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
copied it.
Going back to the pre-K, Ron, there's funding federal funding that you received this year. You're gonna get that next year, and is that an ongoing thing?
It is, and it's not the same amount. In the past, SAU has been able to pool all that money, so it's based on, it's based on federal standards for, based on need. So we've been able to pull from that from a variety of reasons, but Brentwood would get their own source. I don't know if we know yet what our IDA funding would be for next year.
Usually don't get it till May.
What's your maximum capacity in that program? With the current staffing level?
For in the preschool?
Yeah.
We've set a cap for 8 students, but I believe we can go to 12. Yeah. Because we just have the one paraprofessional and the one teacher.
You said, back again, you had on the chart, really, looks like 16 and 4, 16 and 6.
They don't all come every day, so
Oh,
it's
some
a
days-
variety. Some are there 2 sessions and some are there 3 sessions.
And so, I mean, some of them are half day, they're
They're all
half
half day,
days, right?
but some come, let's say 2 mornings, some come 3 afternoons.
And that's about what the limit that you wanna be at?
8, right? And I don't want to overwhelm, but I also want to be cognizant of getting through the school year too. I don't want to, like, for typical peers, we have a choice whether we add more typical peers. We want that balance as far as needs. And so, but again, we do have a session open Friday that we want to be able to add more days for students that might need it. We have 2 new students that are coming to our school too, so not quite sure what their needs are gonna be, how often they're gonna need preschool. Yeah. But it, you know,
What do the demographics look like over time, over the next few years? Number of pupils at Swayze, do you have a feel for that?
I don't have a feel, I've never
Does
really.
anybody?
I'm not an expert on projecting how much. I would tell you that in the 10 years that I've been here, this fall we've had from like August through December, we've added about 24 students. That's not typical. Usually it's, you know, students start at the beginning of the year and we might have 1 or 2, 3 or 4, then a couple, 1 or 2 leave. This year we've had about 8 to 10 students exit, but about 24 new students enter. Right now, I have more space in grade 1 and grade 4, so if anybody else moves into town, I might just say, you have a choice of first or fourth.
Step it up.
So we have a population of 278, or at least that's a number we got.
Right.
Or 281, I'm not sure which is.
I do have,
281 is probably, but are we up from that, from the 281?
the enrollment that I took this week is 287. So due to that, because I knew we were coming here today, I also increased our projected enrollment up to, for next year, to 284. I can pass this sheet out, which gives you actual enrollment since 2013-14.
There's a slow downward drift, it seems like.
Sure has been.
And do we know the reason for that, or people moving out of town, or not having fewer kids, or what?
I do not know.
I used to have 3 Swayze, now I have 1. Kids get older. We had like this big cohort of kids, like when my kids were in Swayze, it
How
was
about
like
taxes are
450.
so high that
No
no one
kidding.
can afford to live in this town
Okay.
or in the SAU 16 district? Just a thought.
Any more questions for Ron?
So the paving, there's not a, you're taking it out of budget instead of a capital account? Or like a maintenance or something?
Yes, we're adding into the budget simply because we're already down this year.
Mhm.
So this is the year probably that we could absorb it. The town would probably have a tolerance for it. And that being said, we have a little over 100,000 in our maintenance account. Each year we try to add another 10,000. But I know for me personally, my philosophy has always been, it's been very hard to build that up. I prefer to keep it for a true emergency. if, I don't know, let's say, if a piece of the furnace breaks or something like that, you know, it can be 17 grand just for something like that, so we like to keep that.
So
we
nothing
have a
will
savings
come out of
account.
that fund for the paving, it's all in
Correct.
budget.
But we've been talking about this for years, and years ago, we were throwing out a number, 5, 6 years ago, Dick was thinking like 250,000, so when Rusty gave us this number, we were just like, wow, let's do it.
Right. And we had talked about, you know, piecing it together over 2 or 3 years, and this is something that could happen over the summertime and be done. And I know we've had crumbling pavement since you and I have worked together,
It's a
Melissa.
mess, yeah.
So, question on debt service though, so since that's off, are there any grand plans for the future that something similar will be, or is this off and we're not gonna see it, we're essentially gonna see the level of the budget that we're seeing right now, plus whatever fluctuations or inflation are happening? Or do you have like a huge plan of
If
rebuilding
only
the
had a
school?
crystal ball. No, as of right now, I can say, as of right now, there aren't any plans.
Okay,
I don't know if down the road, if
right,
whatever, if enrollment went up by a couple hundred, you know, but otherwise, no. I think the biggest thing for us for a long time was the gymnasium floor that wasn't safe, and we were able to replace that. We're doing our capital improvement of the paving, and then the only other items I think that probably would be coming down are maybe replacing kitchen equipment, for example, because we know that some of that's 20, 30 years old at this point in time.
Right.
I don't foresee any other major capital improvements, Steve. We just did the lights, right? We switched to LED.
I got the roof intact and all the, you know, the big ones.
Well, we've done,
We just approved piece of the roof.
Yep, that's been approved, it hasn't happened yet, it has to be above 30 degrees for the adhesives to work, but they're ready to roll, they've got the materials in hand, which is always a concern nowadays.
that's true.
So they're ready to go, and I'm sure they will.
And that's from this year's project line?
Yeah, where did that come from?
This year,
This year.
Okay.
So no plan, I can't think of any other capital improvements that we've talked about or thought about that are necessary. I think it would be a surprise, right?
Right.
Something unanticipated.
Melissa, can I speak to the 3-year plan just real quick to answer Elena?
Yes,
So the board has worked with Mr. Lister to create a 3-year facilities plan so that we can put budgeted items into the budget so it doesn't spike up and down. Some of those areas that we've addressed by priority from having all of Rusty's team, that's all electrical, HVAC, plumbing come into the system. We've planned out over the next 3 years so that we're replacing AC units, so that, because they're getting to the end of their shelf life. The one area is the fire system, which we need to replace at the $43,000 cost, but that will be into the project line, so you're not seeing a large $43,000 addition to what we normally budget in our budget line. So that has been taken into account to keep our budget as static as possible, so that you're not seeing fluctuations up and down.
Okay. No, I was more wondering about the, you know, the bond was such a big, obviously, number, right? Are we to see something like that, and that obviously would be like rebuilding or building another thing or something major, and just to make sure.
So we would expect that line to go back down next year, the 404.
To stay
It's
down.
already
To go
done.
back,
Yeah, the
well, no,
typical-
to go back down, the operation of the plant go back down to 250, 260
Yeah.
range.
Right.
So do you feel you're as COVID ready as you need to be at this point, then? There's no more plant to deal with? Okay.
So, were you guys able to figure out the earlier question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it is the food service law, so in order to charge things to a budget line, item, you have to have a budget. And so last year we did not have a budget for the food service management line. So your food service is a separate standalone fund, but at the end of the day, that cannot be in a negative position. And so a combination of not as many children in the building, but the fixed cost being the same, as well as it's almost $15,000 in equipment. The food service fund is in a loss position, so you have to transfer that to the general fund. And the school board expense line was the closest line we could have that made sense to house the expense.
I remember us talking about that last year when we addressed the food service issue.
I
that-
understand that. Trust me, I can tell it by heart. The problem is that I would never think that it would be booked under the board expenses.
Yeah, and
So,
you'll see the.
Made the board look bad.
We typically budget $1 in the food service loss line, knowing that there's going to be a loss, but last year it was 0, so we couldn't charge anything because it's school accounting rules, you can't charge a line that has a 0 budget.
okay. I got it. Oh my God.
You have anything else to present?
I think there should be like a note in there,
Nope.
because looking
Okay.
10 years from now, you're gonna be like, what the heck did the board do?
Creative with this function.
Nobody has any questions, I'll move the
No, you can't, I'm gonna move it, thank you.
Speed things up.
Alright, but
Don't allow dead air.
I'd like to make, I'd like to make a motion for, $5,919,913.66.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion by Melissa, Andy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Congratulations. Melissa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
But
Thanks for the
while
help.
you're here, may I ask you, so that we don't have to deal with this at a later meeting, would you be comfortable with us discussing our warrant articles quickly?
Okay.
So it's what we typically do every year. We're looking to take it out of the unreserved fund balance, so that's out of the money that we have left over this year. And we're just looking to do what we typically do. We'd like to put another 10,000 into our maintenance fund, 10,000 into, security, safety security, and then special education for the other $10,000. Those are, and we'll be coming to you again before the public hearing, hopefully with a warrant article regarding the BTA, but that's.
Is it one warrant article or several?
3 different warrant
Okay,
articles.
give me 2 minutes to get.
So the first one was the maintenance fund for $10,000.
Okay.
And then the second one was for special education, our trust fund for $10,000. And then the last one was safety and security for $10,000.
Do you know what's in those funds currently?
There's
In the last
140.
Then those, all 3 of those would come from unassigned fund balance.
And with regard to unassigned balance, do we have an estimate, because we don't have the year-to-date actuals, so it would be good
Yes.
to know?
Hold on, no, because I can't get into the Wi-Fi.
Gave you my,
I have December's.
I took you my Wi-Fi.
I have it too.
It wasn't happy with me. Okay.
Oh, I thought I had it. I lied.
And could we please get, year-to-date, just like, next to the budget, the way that we get actuals? Is that possible? Like, through December is fine, like,
Yeah, we both to merge 2 reports because it comes out of 2 different modules.
you can give me the report that, you don't have to
Yeah,
merge.
if you, is that?
Okay, I have it from
Yeah,
December.
Last night.
Yeah, if you want to give me that.
Everything is so complicated.
Are you, is it all right if I read off those numbers right now? Yeah. Okay, so for the maintenance trust fund, and these numbers are as of this month. Maintenance trust fund, $134,358. Special education is $133,381. And safety and security is $34,932.
What's your target balances in those accounts?
Safety and security, I would say probably about 50 we would be comfortable, don't you think? Do you have
At
a,
this point,
yeah. So we tend to spend it down, the projects tend to be like 25, 30,000, I think, in our experience, so it seems to get spent down very quickly. Special education, the goal would be at least, I would say, $250,000, because you have one student that you send out of district. Easily, that could cost you a couple $100,000.
Oh, yeah, every year.
Yeah, exactly.
When was the last time we sent somebody out? Do you know?
2015.
Yeah, it was Emily's class, so she's a junior, so.
And the maintenance?
I did the maintenance first, too.
No, the goal.
Oh, we haven't really set a, I think the same thing, like, I'd wanna see it around 250. How do you feel about that?
Doesn't seem like you have that much
250?
expense though.
Yeah.
250's high for maintenance
Yeah.
budget.
We, part of this is, I think, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but we've been adding, like I said, we just do incrementally 10 grand every year, but the past couple of years, we've been just blessed with all of this surprise money from the government, that every time we've had a major expense that we typically would have needed to go to this for, or the unreserved fund balance, be able to use those funds.
You're saying it's artificially high.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did we have a number for what's in, what you're estimating the unassigned fund balance to be? Is somebody getting?
I don't want you to have it.
Yeah.
So we're back, I just wanna say we're back to like, I really feel like we're artificially inflated here because we've been receiving so much money again this year. You know, like Health Trust is giving us back 42,000. It says here Comp Ed award from state for COVID 16,000. Right now, it looks as though, again, we're only in January, so a lot can happen in 6 months, but our projected ending fund balance is 500,000. Which it never looks like this time of year.
Is that was the food service revenue?
This does not have any revenues in it, right?
No, that's just, no,
Expenses.
that does have revenues on the bottom left-hand corner, so the additional revenue is the health trust and the ComEd. But no, it doesn't have any food service revenue higher or less than planned, we really have to do that analysis.
But not everything is encumbered.
Correct, so everything's encumbered to the best of our knowledge. Every month expenses grow for items that are not known this time.
So you'll probably end up close to like 600K.
Well, if
there was 200, it was 120, I thought.
5 now, they're gonna still spend down for the next
Okay.
Hopefully
6
around
months.
350, right? Wouldn't you think?
Should I pass these over?
I'm afraid to commit to anything,
Save me from myself.
but it's not, it's not typical.
Keep going.
For the visitors.
Just
Could have done the paving this year.
a thought on food service, I don't know if it's legal, but if you established a revolving account for food service and the federal money went into the revolving account to be used at a later date for equipment maintenance, equipment purchase, anything in the food service area, so all that federal revenue, instead of going into the general fund or unassigned fund balance, went into a revolving account. I don't know if the school district can do it the same way the town does, but it's just same idea as the ambulance, you know, the money from ambulance transports goes into a fund to buy an ambulance. I don't know if the food service can be the same way the federal money goes into a revolving fund to update kitchen equipment.
I should think so. Wouldn't you?
I don't know.
I don't believe it,
I don't either.
but the food service can end in a positive balance, it's not recurring like the rest of the taxpayer dollars, it's only if there's a loss, it has to be transferred to the general fund. So like for the cooperative, Gene Pierce always operates at a profit. Well, before.
We don't make enough money to start a revolving fund from food service.
You'd have to
right?
operate at a profit. Well, I don't think you can start a separate, in order to carry a positive balance, you have to not be in a deficit, which I don't think Brentwood has ever done.
That one doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know.
It was just a thought.
Somebody else may know.
It's a revenue, it should be able to go into a revolving account, but,
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
because food service is still gonna show a loss, because there's no revenue to offset it.
Right now.
Nope, with my idea.
But wouldn't
Oh,
we
yeah.
be at even, like, let's say, I'm making up a number, but let's say we got 40 grand from the government or something like that. Don't we need that money to go back to the taxpayers at the end of the year versus starting a revolving fund?
Well, that's the idea, is if you have the revolving fund, then you have another savings plan, it's kinda like your roof, your maintenance fund, your security fund, it's just,
That'd have to be a separate warrant article?
if you were to establish it, it would have to be a separate warrant
Yeah, so
article.
right now you'd be pulling all that equipment out of your maintenance fund, right?
Which is what our plan had been, which is why we're building it separate.
We pull all kitchen out of its own account under the food service line, so any equipment that's associated with the kitchen is not in our project lines.
Whereas if you were talking about a bunch of.
Oh,
kitchen
we're talking
equipment.
about the maintenance trust fund now.
Yeah.
We would pull from there, yeah,
I mean, do you guys have an estimate on what that would be?
for the.
Well, an industrial
for-
kitchen's
for-
expensive, so,
Yeah, I've never.
I don't,
No, I'm just going back to the maintenance,
More than-
right,
the maintenance warrant article, and what the appropriate level of
Yeah,
funding for that
100,000, I
is,
would think.
and looking at, what are our upcoming expenses and our standard.
is your list,
Unknowns.
we did it a couple of years back, the food service, my list has like AC and boilers, does yours have any of the
I think
equipment?
that was, should be in the notes from like last year, cause I think we
Yeah.
put all that together when we were talking about whether it'd be cost effective to start our own program.
Mhm.
And I remember the number was high,
Staggering,
It's
yeah.
like 50, wasn't it?
yeah, probably, at least if not more.
It was over 50, yeah.
Yeah, it's more
Okay.
than that. Oh, so, okay, I'd like to make a motion, please, do I have to do each warrant article separately?
Probably.
Okay,
Yes or no?
But I don't
I
know
guess
if
we
you
probably
have to,
should,
I
because
mean,
not everybody's gonna agree to all of them probably, so it's probably in our best
Possibly.
interest.
Yep.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion, for 10,000 out of the unreserved fund balance to go into the maintenance fund.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Maybe.
Okay. Were you?
I'll be opposed to it.
Okay,
So it's,
so,
You
No,
know,
it just
zero.
seems like a
look, I just
substantial
have to
amount of
say, I don't disagree with you, but that money is going to kitchen equipment, no more cookies, give that back.
was it 7-0?
no,
Six,
Oh,
6-1.
6-1-0.
And then, next I'd like to make a motion, please, for 10,000 out of the unreserved fund balance to go into, the special education fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Alrighty, 7-0.
And then, finally, I'd like to make a motion, please, for 10,000 to come out of the unreserved fund balance, and to go into the safety and security fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0.
Thank you so much, seriously.
Thank you.
may I ask one more question, I'm sorry, I know we voted it, but it's not.
No,
on
because
this
you
one.
already voted, it's done.
No,
Close
it's
it
not,
up.
it is, I wondered, so the legal issues that you guys were experiencing, are they resolved, are we still going through that, like, what's happening in that? Because the legal line was over last year as well, and then obviously this year, for the next year, we're budgeting a lower,
Sure.
right, so,
A couple of those were student cases though, so it wasn't all just school related.
I don't
Yeah,
even,
so-
okay, that's what I'm asking, like, is
Yeah,
it
we
something
don't have
that,
anything currently right now that we're
Okay.
in litigation.
okay, good. That's all that I wanted to make sure.
It's good for all of us.
Not last year. We'll be finished. Thanks, Walter.
Since we've enjoyed paying off the Swayze bond issue and since Molly is here, do I understand correctly that the Exeter High School bond issue will be paid off in August of the coming year?
I think it's the following August, I'd have to check the bond schedule. I think it's either this coming August or next August.
Okay, and that's about $500,000 from Brentwood, the payments. So, okay, so it's not,
It's probably next year.
just a little something we can look forward to here.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
yeah.
Thank you, Steve, Walter. Ron, great job. Yeah, thanks.
I was bad. Did you?
Andy.
Because pretty soon it's gonna be another one.
We're still in the meeting, guys. You can take the conversation outside, please.
I meant to ask you during your report, what's the status with the fire chief? Is there,
With the fire chief?
with the, I'm sorry, the police chief. Sorry.
So, there was a newspaper article that was preempt the selectmen's announcement, but there has been somebody selected to be the new police chief.
Okay.
Well, this is the same guy, right?
Who?
Yeah, right. How did he get out? Or can you not say?
I'd rather not talk about it.
It's okay, I understand.
So,
Shouldn't have happened, right?
right now, any information, if you wanna read the Exeter newsletter, besides the name of the individual, and his background, but, there should be more information forthcoming next week.
Okay, but you have selected one, that's all I was
Yes,
curious about.
And how
Do we
soon
have
are they
to talk
gonna?
about that?
we haven't physically hired him yet, and then standard professional would be a month notice to his current employer.
Oh, that's
So-
not cool.
But it's already out. Oh.
Well, they knew because he had to tell them for background purposes.
I know when chief came in to do the budget, they were thinking the timeframe, so
Yeah.
that's still.
We're still shooting for that.
Agenda for tonight, I had planned to do the fire and insurance benefits. Chief is there, I don't know. You proceed with the fire budget without him?
So,
Or if you
can we
want
do,
to do the other
let's
budget?
do, 415. I'll move that budget to the table.
I'll second.
So this is predicated on the fire passing too.
No,
This is without the
The
additional.
332, 131,
fire,
the 332.
131.
so fire's been removed.
The new hires.
Just the
Yes.
incremental.
Two new hires.
The two new hires were removed from this budget. So it shows a decrease of $18,000 over last year's budget.
Is that seconded?
Not
To
yet.
discuss.
Oh,
We haven't even moved it yet, but I don't know if there's any discussion. There's really not much to discuss. I'd
Yeah.
definitely like to see the,
Kind of is what it is.
maybe as we go forward, if the, I don't know how the insurance subcommittees.
the insurance subcommittee is.
Yeah, how is that going,
Support.
Anthony?
It's going horribly.
Well, at the point where you stopped meeting, it wasn't worth meeting anymore,
Right.
because we were in the time crunch.
Exactly.
We got insurance rates lower than we did last year, which worked out well, so.
Yeah, but we didn't get going until summer, which is way too late for the cycle.
I think you should start going now for the
Yeah.
next year, because it takes a while.
Yes,
Yeah, chair.
I would definitely.
I didn't realize I was gonna be chairman.
I know how-
Surprise.
I know how that feels.
So does this preclude, actually having fire, in the operating budget,
Fire will not be in the operating budget.
no matter what?
No matter what, the selectmen are gonna put forward a warrant article, and those costs of benefits will be included in that warrant article.
So if we, okay, without the warrant article, we don't get the two new firemen,
Correct.
okay?
I wasn't here last week, but the sublimation I got was that this board pretty much wanted to see the warrant article instead of
Yes, the vote was.
the operating budget, so.
It wasn't by any means, I don't think by anyone, a lack of support for the two positions. It was just more about transparency.
Two different ideas.
And giving the town a voice, yeah,
A new
that's all
position.
it was.
You know, for the town.
No, there's always two different thoughts when you hire somebody, whether it should be a warrant article or it should be.
How did this entire select board, well, I guess guess except for you, they were all here, never mind. I was thinking, how did the discussion go last night, but they were all here.
The only discussion was last night is we amended the fire department budget to take them out and then asked the chief and Karen to get together to come up with the numbers. They were trying to do it on the fly and I didn't want it happening on the fly. I wanted a solid warrant article number, so within a couple weeks, we'll do a warrant article for the 2 firefighters, probably for 6 months plus benefits.
And when are the warrant articles, what do they do?
February 2nd is, I believe, our last day to
The last meeting?
approve them.
We have a meeting on second? Cause that's probably when it's gonna come down to us.
We don't yet, we'll get to that, we'll get to our next meeting date.
But when we're talking about, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but you guys also approved the budget. So the chief is not here because they approved the budget.
Speak up if you could.
Well, can we do the
Yeah,
benefit
let's-
budget first and
No,
then
no,
we'll?
no, I'm just saying that, but you approved that budget.
Yes, I'll talk about that,
Right,
because it's in your packet.
right, okay.
Okay, can I have a motion for the insurance budget?
Motion to accept the number, what was it, 332?
131.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in opposed? Abstentions? 700.
And then I'd like to make a motion to reopen general government 4199. The selectmen opened it last night and modified the newsletter line.
General government,
Can I get a second to reopen?
Second?
And can you,
I think you'd need to take a vote on reopening.
Oh, okay. All in favor of reopening general government?
Do we want to reopen this?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
So the newsletter came in to us with an estimate that it costs $1,600 approximately a month to publish the newsletter. So in order to get 3 issues out before town meeting, we adjusted the newsletter line item to the $4,419.
So basically just to fully fund the first 3 issues.
Correct.
what I was confused on is, so there are still advertisements, right?
Yes.
I understand that advertisers weren't comfortable, that they weren't sure that the issues were
Elena,
gonna
please
issue.
speak up, I just can't hear you.
I'm saying I understand that the advertisers were
Hesitant.
hesitant, right, with regards to, you know,
Right.
possibility that there are gonna be no issues. But now that we're running those issues, like the issue that, you know, came out, there were some advertisements, right? So I guess my only, you know, not even concerned, but I'm uncomfortable with paying for the full thing, knowing that there is a source of revenue.
But they only come out 4 times a year, there isn't revenue at that time. They come out every 4 months.
Hold on 1 second.
So,
Because there are a number of pages, right? And
Yep.
those advertisements take space on the pages that are being printed, the printed costs are high. So if we're paying for the whole thing, could we then eliminate, you know, the advertisement essentially and save on those pages? Or, because the printing is the most expensive thing from what I understood.
right, I don't have the budget with me, but the idea that I floated last night, but this would be part of the arrangement that the selectmen enter with the newsletter, was that at the end of the year, the newsletter provides us a balance statement or whatever, which shows revenue and expenses. Whatever revenue they made in 2022 would come off of 2023's budget. So if they need,
You'd have to have allowable expenses though, otherwise.
well, the town's paying the full expense for the publication.
No, I'm talking about from an accounting perspective, you'd have to have allowable expenses because, I mean, what's the expense that can charge against revenue?
Right, but the town's already paying, they've estimated that the cost per issue is $1,600.
Right.
So that's gonna, if passed by the town, that'll be fully funded throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, we'll take whatever they want next year minus whatever revenues they made in 2022 to offset that. So they always get, they're always ahead.
So I guess
Instead
my
of always
question,
behind.
Yes.
which, okay, I understand that, and
They've always been 3 months behind.
I understand that.
Good.
I'm an accountant, I understand that. My question is then, with transparency of records, right? Because from historically, we haven't had statements or any preview to the financial statements, right, of the organization. Now,
Do you get an organization from the Red Cross when you
can
donate?
you please let me finish? We're a municipality, we're not individuals donating money. If I want to donate, I can donate out of my pocket, that's different.
No, it is not different. This,
Louis?
Let her finish.
okay.
So the question is whether or not the statements now, because when you, at the end of the year, I'm following his idea. At the end of the year, when we're looking at the numbers, in what format will that be provided? Similar to what it is yesterday in a letter? Because then there's no real accountability for that?
We don't know
Or will it be
yet,
like a statement?
because we haven't done whatever the agreement is gonna be with the newsletter. But that would be part of the agreement when we move forward.
Okay, because the only way to account for that is if someone in the town, and I'm not saying public, I'm saying someone at least within the select board has preview to those financial statements.
Do you get financial reports from the Red Cross when you donate to them?
Those
Does
are
the same?
public, those are public. You can look them up on irs.gov. All financial statements, they're public.
Every one of the ones that we donate to and the other charities, and there are many, do we have financial statements from
They're
them?
public, yes. You can find them online.
But this isn't a
So-
charity,
so-
this is.
But that's what it's been. We've been
So all
donating
we're
just.
But
talking
it's
about
not
right
being
now,
reported as
all we're
charity.
talking about right now is the funding for the 3 issues that the newsletter is expected to produce.
Right.
It has in previous years been expected to produce those issues with the understanding that they would get funding. Now there's a question mark there. So all of this number is to fund those first 3 issues.
Okay, so
And-
then with regards to just those first 3 issues, let's say none of the rest of the stuff passes, for example. The question is, advertisements, will issues include advertisements or not? So will the select board give you to those, they can offset those in full for the 3 issues without any advertising revenue
So there are,
offsetting it?
the only issue, there's 3 issues a year that have advertising.
When they're commercials and businesses, those are not advertisements, like how does it work? I'm just, right,
So
Did you-
there's an advertising directory, issues per year.
okay,
So we're saying there's no between now and.
That's correct.
okay, so like all of these are just asked, this is an old issue, I had an option here, so. Okay, this stuff is not, this is town stuff?
Yeah, that's just, that
Okay.
because it was a town event, it's not actually.
Okay, looks bright.
And my per issue per month number was wrong, it's $1,473.
Tell me again?
1473.
473. Okay.
Okay, that's pages, or is it?
We haven't decided that.
So then-
It's 3 months. per-
Yeah, well, a lot of times it's 14,
14,
17, it fluctuates. The average is
And it
14.
does fluctuate, and usually, the first 3 issues, or at least the February and or March issue, is dealing with elections. So that could be bigger if
Okay.
people are submitting candidate columns, or.
The March
if
issue is
there's a
usually
lot of-
huge because of all the
Yeah,
candidate
all
letters.
all the listing about budgets, any other warrant articles, any citizen petitions, whatever else is gonna come up at town meeting, all of that information is contained in there, so
Okay.
that one is typically a bigger one.
So what I'm trying to do is to help, not to ruin, I hope you understand that. And the issue is that sometimes transparency helps. if you understand, like, for example, if there was like a table with, okay, we produce this on average, right? Because someone somewhere has these numbers, like I did for school the summary. It helps people to process numbers differently. So when you have, these number of issues are produced, these are the pages on average, these are the, like, it's easier to state the cause than to say, hey, we need $1,400 to cover the issues, and then not to explain anything and have people argue on other, issues of the letter.
That's fine, but for $1.05 an issue, why that kind of money per person, why would you have to issue that?
Because people don't subscribe to that. There's no, there are a lot of issues with that, Louis.
There's a lot of issues, but nothing to do with the money.
So really tonight, we're just talking
With the
about
money
these
too.
first 3 months.
Yes.
The discussion about whether or not anybody wants it for the rest of the year can happen at town meeting. I don't think we need to
That's
beat
correct.
that tonight.
That's fine. So all that I wanted to clarify is there was no advertisements in these 3 issues.
So that solves your question.
So, is there a motion to?
I'll move the updated budget of $33,416.
Second?
Second, okay, Jack.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I wasn't sure if you said that.
So it's,
Are you,
That's fine. I's fine.
okay.
So
I just don't want to list it if you don't want it. So no opposition, no abstention. Okay,
so 700?
yes. Okay. So that,
How are we doing? 7:30, not bad.
so the new total number is 33,416. If you didn't write that down.
You wanna take a stab at fire? I don't care.
Restricted, that's the one that had status quo.
Yes, well, yes, but some items were moved out of the ambulance budget into the fire department, which is reason why this shows it looks like an artificially high increase, but it's just not coming out of the ambulance revolving fund, it's now coming out of the budget.
I think that has been discussed like 3 or 4 times at
Yes.
select board, so I'm comfortable with that.
I just look at the numbers and I'm like, how does that happen? And then I have to think back to myself that we've moved,
Making
Yeah.
space for-
we've played a shell game and
That's permanent, right? That change?
yes. Well, until
Until
either
it's
we
ambulance?
can charge more for an ambulance ride or
Mhm.
ambulance prices go down.
So wasn't that previously the ambulance funding was on its own and they had income and expenses? Now the fire department will receive that income?
No, it's still going to the ambulance budget. The only change is, the standby pay every night used to come out of the ambulance budget. And now it's coming out of the fire budget. Some of the training line item, that increased because that money got moved out of the ambulance budget into the fire budget. And then, the EMS coordinator used to come out of the ambulance budget and that's now coming out of the fire budget.
And why is this?
Because the fund's not increasing enough to support a new ambulance.
Yeah, they're expensive.
So the move from 961,000 to 804 is simply moving the 2 new positions out of that budget?
I don't think so,
Yes.
because this is old. I think your corrections before was not correct. I think we need to go back and look at the numbers.
Well, it's
Because
961.
we voted, this was the number with,
This is the number without the 2 new firemen. This
how
is
do you
the
know
number-
that? It
Right
wasn't-
there,
Because
961 is the one that was with 2
Cause
firemen.
that's what we're telling you.
This includes increases of salaries, the way that they, that matrix.
Well,
Yeah,
was-
I
I
think
didn't
the
have
motion
it.
last week was
I
actually
didn't
for
have
the
it.
804 numbers, but it was
Wrong?
wrong.
And the
I think
804,
it
that's,
was 960.
how did I have that in the last minutes? If I
You
didn't-
might have been looking,
How did I I get
not
those
sure.
numbers?
No, I think,
I can read minds, I
Because
guess.
we have two, no, we had both copies. He brought it in the
Yeah.
first meeting, both
Okay.
copies. He
Okay.
gave it to us,
I was
and
gonna
he
say, I didn't
said,
think I meant,
We
I didn't
have
think I
seen
made
it.
that
no,
number
no,
up.
he said, this is the one that
You
I
know,
want, and
in my
this is,
sleep or
and
whatever.
this is the way that it is, and we always had those.
yes,
So it wasn't,
So you were just looking at the one he wasn't actually presenting last week.
Because if you, hold on.
Thank you for noticing that. actually.
well, look here,
Here.
that was,
Yeah,
the salaries were 91,
yeah.
and now the whole budget, that wasn't the whole budget. that-
91,000, you're thinking
This
of
is
a
not
different
my,
number.
been my day.
No
Not
worries,
been my day.
no worries.
I wanna understand,
so the change here is the change of the EMS budget and the new pay scale.
Yes,
Those
And-
those are the big changes.
yes. So if you flip it over, the actual increases, you can see better of where they are.
so what's, no, what we're dealing with now, the 84 is without the insurance, without the
Well,
benefits,
insurance don't go
It's
there.
in a
and
separate
without the
line.
salaries. Those are the separate, they're taken out.
What you're looking at now is minus, what you saw last week minus 2 full-time salaries.
As you've asked.
Okay, but not the benefits.
That was in the benefits
That's
budget,
just what we did earlier.
yes.
Okay, that's all I got it all together.
So this includes the matrix that has already been approved by select board, the increases in hourly wages.
Yeah, I have no problem with the wages increases. That's all, no,
No, I'm just saying that's why
I'm
they're-
concerned about the whole bottom line, because we want to be sure that the two salaries are out of there.
They're out of
That
it.
is my question.
So is
Because
there a
what we
motion?
pass, when you don't understand what the number is, if you pass it, that's not good business practice.
I,
Don't mind
I can
questions?
tell you that I've been through numbers, but that's not that it matters, but I've been through
I'm
numbers.
talking
to
about
verify.
myself.
I can walk you through them.
Yeah, she has,
That's why we delayed the approving the budget, because I wanted to go through all the numbers.
So on the back side, 531 for 2021 versus, oh, that's budget, sorry. Yep. All right, that's good. Any more discussion?
Do we have a motion yet?
No,
I would move that we accept 804,994 for the fire budget.
second.
So Jack?
okay,
You missed your opportunity.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Opposed. Oh, no, excuse me. I wish I was comfortable. I'm not comfortable with this. I think I'll be opposed, because I'm not comfortable with it.
I'm opposed also.
So
So we
far.
have 5-0.
So the warrant article for the 2 firemen, did you just say that it's only gonna be for 6? I know that takes a while to hire them, it'll be later, but if we do a warrant article for just 6 months for each of them, are we gonna at least alert the folks that are at the town meeting that really that's a half-year salary for you? I just feel like it's disingenuous. I get why we're doing it, right? We don't need more money than that, but I think we should be transparent and letting people know that it's really double that cost.
Yeah, I think that would be part of the discussion.
Question for you, like, to follow up what you said. When you had it in the operating budget, did you only have 6 months salary in that one?
No, it was more.
Because he
Okay.
was,
Because-
no, he was
Because we
planning-
were gonna, once the budget committee approved it, the hiring process was
Right.
gonna start.
he was gonna hire them in April.
But you're talking, you're not telling them real numbers, because what we had in the original budget was a lot more, double. You got half a year and a whole year. So you
No,
don't-
it wasn't a
No,
year, it was,
3/4
it
of the
was
year.
from April until December, so it was 9 months?
7 months.
Yeah.
7 months.
7 and 4, no, 8 months.
8 months instead of 6.
8 and 4. Yeah, but, so you didn't tell the town what the difference with the money was. You're
We
telling them.
haven't met with the town.
No, you're the town, I'm talking about you.
When the
When
chief
you
was
gave
in
us
here, when the
the
chief was in
numbers-
here, he discussed that it was starting in April because that's why he didn't want a warrant article, is because he could start hiring 2 months earlier.
I know exactly why I was here for the discussion on all counts. And believe me.
But nobody lied to the town.
No, but when
I'm
you gave,
upset that
when you
you
made the
wanna put
warrant
that
article,
forth.
you knocked the one, our argument was that was quite a large amount of money. Well, now it's quite a bit less money, if we use that argument, which I don't know if we're gonna or not.
No, it was $150-something thousand to begin with, and that's what they're gonna say, that's the discussion that is gonna happen in the plus benefits.
Well, anyway, it's done. I mean, it doesn't.
No, I'm just saying that's
Well,
the
it's not done
discussion
'cause
that
we
is
haven't
gonna be
presented the
happening,
No, but I
so
mean, we're going to,
the
but I
select
mean, we're
board
going
is
to
not
be
used
using,
to presenting
we'll
it.
tell them what the numbers are.
Right.
They haven't even put the,
So, don't we have one more to do?
Insurance.
We just did
We did
insurance.
insurance,
No,
benefits.
you did benefits.
We did.
We did benefits, we did, no,
Yeah,
we did insurance.
We did insurance.
We did insurance, we didn't do
We did
benefits.
general
No,
insurance.
we-
No, we did benefits.
We didn't do insurance.
We did it, the insurance line item for benefits. The only other insurance
Yeah,
is
right.
for property risk management, and I think
Okay.
that was already
Yeah,
done.
we did the
Did we do
same,
that already?
yeah, they're one and the same.
No, it's two separate budgets.
I know, but the insurance, the subgroup is,
no, there was another.
those are
one
benefits,
for-
We
aren't
did
these
general,
benefits?
general
Yes,
government.
no, he's talking about insurance as a general, like, liability and,
Liability and risk,
right.
Right, did you approve that?
I believe so.
We haven't approved that,
I don't have.
That's not a part of this one,
no.
No,
and we didn't do it. And I don't see that we have any paperwork on it.
This would have been done like months ago, before Christmas break.
Yeah, I went through all of the ones we've done already, and we didn't do that yet. So, and I didn't bring my big box of paperwork because my back hurts, and I didn't want to carry it, so I don't have that to give you.
What was the date? We said, and you said before Christmas. We did.
I don't know when it would have been. It would have been, I think it was one of the first budgets the selectmen looked at.
Yeah, it's 133, 715 for insurance.
I thought we did it.
No, it was from last meeting, we didn't do anything. After 5 release.
So, do you don't have a copy of it?
It's
Let
somewhere.
me
Print
see
it.
Somewhere.
We could print it.
I mean, it's got 5 lines.
Do you have it in here?
Hold on. I may or may not, depending what I grab. Yeah, right here, we can copy it. Oh, is this the same thing? Hold on. Yes. This, 2 pages. Sorry.
Same information. Now, does that look like? So this one didn't change because of fire?
No.
Okay, I will be right back.
What's the line item number?
They left us,
That's it?
they left us.
Oh, it's quiet.
It's a small audience tonight.
Just me.
Yeah, not discounting your being there, but I thought there might be more here tonight.
Lena, I just sent you the financial packet that we got at our last meeting that goes through 12/21.
Thank you.
And I also sent you, because I already typed all that into your spreadsheet.
I think we
earlier,
have
I also
3
sent you
remote
that,
viewers, Jack.
Do we?
So that you
Oh.
can copy the whole thing and just dump it wherever
Thank
you
you so
dump it,
much.
so you don't have to do it, I already did it.
Thank you.
Because I have a separate column for actual and encumbered.
That's awesome. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Oh, Karen's gonna kill me.
I was gonna say I won't tell what you're being live streamed, so.
Everybody staying healthy and family, and
So far.
everybody had COVID, right?
No, I was the only one.
Oh, geez, wow.
Yeah, my daughter's gotta go back to college on Sunday, so we have to keep everybody healthy between now and then, otherwise she doesn't get to go back.
Oh,
It's
Did she have
stressful,
it?
isn't it, though?
No, she doesn't. But we have to keep her from getting it, otherwise.
Okay.
She can't go back, right?
Yeah.
just let it clear the
Yeah,
horses, nobody, no real people.
Yeah.
Our grandson's, goes to UENE, they couldn't even go back without full vaccinations and booster.
That's how my daughter's school is.
They all are.
Yeah.
My
Yeah, I
son's
think
school,
most,
too.
most schools up north are like that.
Twice last year, they quarantined because they were exposed, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And because those days they were in the dorm, they spent 2 weeks in a hotel, they put them in a hotel by
Did they
himself.
really?
By himself. It was awful, and it was only, went to it was an event with, a friend, like just like
Well,
lunch or
it's-
breakfast or something,
He didn't get it, but he was.
No, he didn't get it,
Yeah.
but he spent 2 weeks alone, and he's a pre-med student, can't go to labs in the class, on the computer. It cost them,
Okay, we have insurance budget.
You
Got a
got it?
motion,
hold on.
Is this to open it or
Let's
to
look at
pass
what we're
it?
either or.
Move it to the floor.
Second,
General insurance.
It'd be too
Primex.
bad. No second.
Okay, to discuss, okay, do you
Okay.
wanna discuss?
Who did what?
Motion by Andy, seconded by Alina / somebody else.
Jack, we raised Fred.
We'll give Jack the next one.
whatever.
It's non-negotiable,
He's been getting
right?
enough.
It is what it is.
It is what
It
it is.
is what it is, yes.
So I'll move the 133,715.
Second,
7:15, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Abstained? Okay, passed 7-0. Okay,
That's a lot.
so, Andy, have there been any other warrant articles come up yet? know that-
We talked about highway yesterday.
Yeah, what's happening with that, I'm sorry, I missed part of the discussion because I was late. Well, no, I couldn't hear it well, Kim.
You couldn't, it's hard to hear a lot of it.
Yeah, so what was with that truck that needs to take the body off or replacement? Or there was a whole discussion about $50,000 versus the value of the truck of $40,000, like.
So one of the truck's frame has an issue along with the body. It's a, I wanna say 2002. If we put a new body on it, it'd be 50,000, or he has another truck that's running not as well as that one, and we could swap the body. So the discussion of the 50,000 was, is the truck worth putting 50,000 into it, or is it
Right,
not, are you not extending the life long enough for the truck to make back the value?
so I guess the scary part is that the truck that requires that huge replacement is the best truck they have running.
Well, engine-wise. So
That's
the
what I
problem
heard.
is,
And I was like, hold on a second, what if there's a huge storm, what do we do?
well, we still have enough vehicles.
We
Okay.
have quite a few. You were
No, I
there.
know, but they weren't operational. Remember how they have those
There
computer
are like
issues?
two parked off on the
Yeah.
side.
You couldn't get the parts, and that's nothing, no amount of money it's gonna solve.
No,
that
I know,
problem.
I'm just,
If worse comes to worse, they can put
if there's one running, let's fix it maybe and let it run.
the two smaller trucks along with the loader has a wind package with it. So if there was a huge storm, we could adapt and overcome.
And he would just,
It just,
contract
it
out.
just wouldn't work as well. You know, like if the small trucks worked, you would have to do like developments and you would have to do 2 passes on a lane instead of 1. It just wouldn't.
And in the past, they contracted out if they really need, if they're without it.
We haven't contracted.
Not since you did it, but before your time they did.
Yes.
No, what I was saying is that there's an old truck that doesn't have that computer system. And what Wayne was saying is that it runs better than the ones that he gets.
That's the one they're
from
gonna
new
swap,
ones.
isn't that right?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I could not understand whether they decided to swap it or not, because if it runs, then let's
I
get
think
it
they did,
fixed.
wasn't that what they passed?
Like, that's what I could not,
Yeah, I believe that's
I
what
was
they
just
passed.
confirming that, because if it runs, then let it run.
Yeah, I think that's what the motion was, that they, to switch it. How much
Okay.
it was, I forget the money.
We don't know.
Yeah,
what
it's
it'll
gonna
cost. It'd be labor.
Bob had some kind of a number, but I didn't know if that was.
Did- Bob's number was
$38,000 or something.
$200,000 truck lasts us almost 20 years, so a truck depreciates at 10 grand a year. So if we put $50,000 into a truck, is it gonna give us another 5 years? Probably not.
Oh, I thought it was the other way. We couldn't hardly hear it, because particularly, because we were back to it, even we were sitting behind it, I couldn't barely hear you.
So the only warrant articles we really listen to is highway.
And you voted on the highway, right?
Yep,
So they're gonna bring that to us?
yes.
Okay.
Are
I
they,
have no choice but to bring it to you.
have
I
they-
know, that was my point.
I'm gonna hide it, it's
That was my
secret.
point, but well, you talked like we do have it, I didn't know if we were gonna,
have they decided on the building too, or no? Because when we were there, he was talking about the building.
I don't know, I didn't know.
Oh, the new highway building? No, but there's a capital reserve for that, but we won't be putting any,
Okay.
not this year, we won't put any money into it, but
It'll be a warrant article for the capital reserve, right?
not for the
They're not
building,
going
It's already
Not for the
funded.
building,
not for the highway building.
not the highway building, no. Okay.
That's already fully funded for the building.
We hope, it was fully funded back before construction prices increased
Right.
200%.
That's why you guys are waiting. I assume.
No, because the last time we tried, nobody wanted to bid it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the job, they're too busy making a lot of money.
So at this point then, that's the only warrant article that we know of.
Roads, truck,
No PD?
no PD, we're waiting for the new chief to design or come up with a concept. Bridges was tabled depending on what it's gonna cost us for Mill Road, if nobody so far has bid Mill Road Bridge.
Mhm.
I believe fire might have a capital reserve for a vehicle.
For the fire truck?
Yeah,
Was it for the down payment of one and then do the lease to buy, or was it the full thing?
Just a capital
well,
reserve.
we don't
right
have
now.
anywhere near enough money in the fire truck's probably gonna cost us 800 to $1 million.
Dollars, yeah.
Whoa.
So,
It's a rent to lease kind of
And
thing.
he needs the latter one too.
I think there's only there's less than 100,000 in there right now, I believe.
So that's gonna come.
Alright, so right now, our next meeting is February 9th, which is the night of the public hearing.
Right.
And we were going to vote on warrant articles prior to that.
Okay, now, originally, I think we were, the
Are
time,
you feeling like that will be a sufficient amount of time? We don't need another meeting prior to that for any warrant articles?
I don't think so.
There's
I don't
anything.
think the other ones will even be
I
ready.
think
by-
there's gonna be a lot of discussion though with the fire and the newspaper warrant article.
So what we can do that night is, we can start our meeting, we're gonna start our meeting at 6. We can recess and have the public hearing at 7. Whenever that is done, we can go back to our meeting. Or we can set up a meeting prior to that night for whatever warrant articles we would have up to that point.
I don't know who will.
If we start at 6 and don't get done what we want to get done,
You
and
take,
then have the public meeting, do we then have to have, and then have another meeting and make some
that night afterwards.
changes, do we then have to have another public meeting?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
the budget has to be
technically we do.
set before the public meeting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if we change it afterwards, we do.
Do we think-
why don't we meet on the 2nd?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of leaning towards too.
I mean, the only thing I was saying is.
But you're not gonna have, well, maybe you will.
I mean, if anything, it'd be a quick meeting if there's not much.
Alright? Then we're off next week.
Pardon?
No meeting next week. And then we will meet again on the 2nd,
Okay, what is
What time?
I lost track.
6 o'clock.
So we're still doing 6 on the 9th then?
Yes, because if there's anything else we need to talk about prior to the public hearing.
So there's a meeting, on the second. Okay.
And the 9th, we're meeting at the BRC.
Yes,
Oh, the 9th will be at BRC, right?
yeah.
And Melissa looks like she wants to discuss a couple more subjects.
No way.
Andy, I
I'm
will
so
need your
tired of
help
my questions.
doing the whole slideshow thing. That thing?
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea.
Do you have cubes from last year?
And next week,
I've been working on the slide presentation, I just don't know how to set it up on.
That's the easy part.
Okay, sounds like
26th at 6, right?
Can I?
we have nothing on to what, 26th, no meeting next week.
Oh, not wait. Okay, so the
Well,
second.
Anthony, did you make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I did.
I'll second it.
Ah,
All right,
Morning.
meeting adjourned,
all in favor?
7:50.
There's 4 cookies left, guys.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.